Hey everybody, hey, this is Eric Brown back at it, man. I'm in front of the camera. Uh, Thought I'd just hop in front of the camera and talk about a few things. It's about what 3:30 in the morning right now. Saturday morning, early Saturday morning. Can't sleep, and I'll explain some of that later why I can't sleep and some of the things I've been going through. But real talk, man. I just want to get on here and just be straight honest, man, and just talk about some stuff, man, and some stuff that I think that'll be valuable to some people, and also get people to kind of thinking about some things. And so the first thing I want to talk about is why out of the blue I had this major push on Facebook, man, and out of nowhere I just first of all no one could find me on Facebook. I wasn't a social media guy. Now all of a sudden, every day you're seeing this stuff that I'm just popping out, and all that's about is just me really preparing essentially for the next chapter of my life, man. And that's, in accordance with God's plan. And that's to bring everything back home that I've attained and gained around the world and through other different experiences and things like that. And some of that y'all seen on some of the videos and photos and things like that. But, I look forward to doing more talking than just putting up pictures. I just want to make sure the timing is right, and the things I'll talk about are not a waste of your time. You know what I'm saying? I want to get to the point where you're always wondering what the next topic is going to be. That's just how strong I want the delivery of the content to be. But yeah, the push on Facebook really is just to, in a sense, just kind of reconnecting, with first of all, with people that I've known throughout my life, people that I've actually had to push pause on some relationships, and not for bad reason. I explained some of that. But I think getting this information out will give people a greater understanding of, my journey, which I think was quite unique. And I think you'll agree once I really start getting into the nitty gritty of it. It will be positive, but some things that I get out, I'm gonna have to go there on some subjects, but it won't be anything. I'm staying away from politics, staying away from, social issues as much as possible. But there are some things I have to address, it, particularly when it affects me directly. Y'all saw the young man, Aaron Bushnell, who self-immolated, or he set himself on fire in front of the Israeli embassy the other day in an Air Force uniform, and he did it because he was not complicit with what was going on in Gaza. I don't want to get too deep into details on that because I know everybody has their own opinions on that, and I have my own opinion on it, and it's very strong. But I will say that that young man wasn't crazy, so just kill all that. There's no evidence nowhere. He was not crazy, and the reason I'm telling you he's not crazy because some of the same thing that was going through his head were going through my head. We just kind of dealt with it differently, and those things were going through my head. I was much younger than him, obviously. It was a time when you didn't have internet, you didn't have cell phones, you didn't have access to information. Well, now the young folks have access to all this information. So in the military. So case in point, before when we went out in the military and went around the world or whatever, a lot of times we didn't know why we were going out there. We just, yes sir, follow orders. You do what you're told, shut up and color, But nowadays, man, kids have access to the information right there. They know why they're going into these places around the world, and I mean, they pinpoint exactly where the planes are doggone landing bombs and shooting bullets around the world, and they're struggling. A lot of them are struggling with the role they play in. And I got to be careful with this because I am a huge veterans advocate. I don't regret any days of my service in the Air Force, but I do want to speak my truth, and that is there were questions at times, man. There were questions at times, man. You go Google YouTube right now, Google military recruiters and military recruiter live and something like that. You'll see a lot of that, and it was common in the military where recruiters would get folks in, they tell them one thing, but when they get into the military, it'd be something totally different, Back then, it wasn't as bad because even though they told us one thing, we got in, it was something different. We still were not able to connect the dots because we didn't have internet, and we didn't have cell phones, and we didn't have immediate access to all this data. Well, now it's different now. So the kids have the ability to access this data and to connect the dots, and doing all this while they're still serving, young in the military, or some of them old in the military. Some of them don't get it until they get older. But the thing that they don't get, and what I'm referring to is, when you go into the military, you raise your right hand, you say you will defend basically the country, the U.S., all of its interests, foreign and domestic. But the big thing they focus on is making sure you understand that you're defending America. The problem with it, and I'm being careful with this because, again, this is my truth. I bear witness to, some of the despicable stuff that I've seen out there that I didn't know, I was involved with. But, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? My intention was good. When I raised my right hand, it was to defend the nation, to defend my people, and be a proud representative of my family. But there were times when I was out on missions in the military, and man, I'd be like, hold on now, wait a minute. They said I was here to defend America, but here I am in Somalia or in Africa, doing crazy stuff over there. And what does that have to do with America? What does that have to do with my people and protecting them? These folks, hell, the folks in Somalia didn't even have them access to weapons that go further than the ocean. You know what I'm saying? So what harm would they do to the U.S.? And, I would see things like the sale of military hardware. I would see countries get together, and just like you have trade shows for cars, for guns, a lot of trade shows for different things like that. There's trade shows just about for everything, electronics, technology, everything. But there's also trade shows for weapons. Yes, there are. And I went to one and I was shocked when I saw it. I was shocked. You had all these different countries flying into I don't want to say a secure location. I think it wasn't publicized. I mean, those in the defense industry are the only ones that really knew about it, unless you had advocates out there, or folks like anti-war activists who knew where the stuff was taking place. But you get all these countries that will show up at this one location with all their airplanes. This is what I would see, with all of their airplanes. And they would basically all sit around and watch the different countries show off their airplanes, in the air and everything. And back then, that's when the Airbus first came out. And I first saw the Airbus, and I was amazed at what it could do. That thing flew like a doggone, it's pretty aerobatic. I mean, acrobatic is what I mean. It doesn't fly like your typical airline like back in the 80s and, those old airlines. This thing is very efficient, highly maneuverable. The Airbus is a type of plane that's flown by American Airlines, United Airlines, Southwest. Sorry, I don't mean to confuse y'all, but Airbus airplanes are newer airplanes that are flown by some of these big airlines right now. But they're having problems right now because they push these things out too fast, and they're having safety issues with them. That's why you hear on the news some of these airplanes, the doors are blowing off while they're in the air and things like that. Or all types of crazy stuff, man, because they push them out too fast. But yeah, you would see that type of stuff. And I'll speak to some of that, later on in other videos. But my point in all that, so that young man wasn't crazy. He just had, he came to a fork in the road morally, and a lot of veterans have been there. They won't come out, a lot of them won't come out and say it because it would almost seem that they're being non-veteran, which is crazy. But I could care less what people think. Again, it's my truth. I know what I saw, and I know what were facts, and I don't go by assumptions. You know what I'm saying? I put out a photo the other day, I think yesterday, where I said I stand on business, period. And I mean that, man. I stand on business, man. If you don't want to hear what I got to say, that's fine. I'm not here to, coax you into to buying into the stuff I'm trying to put out. I'm not trying to put out anything but my truth. That's it. And if you don't want my truth, then I'm okay with it. You know what I'm saying? Because I still own my truth. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. But he wasn't crazy. He just had he was challenged morally, and it's unfortunate. how he took his life. I don't wish that on no one, but it's been kind of despicable what I've been seeing in the on social media and the news, and how they're trying to twist it and make this kid seem like, or young man seem like he was crazy. And I think I saw one thing that said he grew up in some religious fanatical, some convent, something, I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? But it's sad, man. It's sad that they twist things to keep people distracted from the truth, man, from the truth. And one of the reasons I say that I'm speaking my truth and I stand on business is because I stand on business for one reason, because I mind my business. If it ain't my business, then it ain't my business. You know what I'm saying? But if it's my business, I'm standing on it. I'm standing on it. And, everybody has an opinion. Everybody has their own life experiences, and I respect all of them. I do. At the same time, I don't like the fact that, some people are speaking on issues that they don't even have experience with. You got people speaking on this young man who have never served before. You got folks speaking on this young man who don't know a damn thing about mental health. Well, guess what? I was in the Air Force 22 years. Guess what? I worked mental health. Guess what? I saw some of the crazy stuff they were doing, but labeling it as helping the veteran. And that's not what was happening. It's not what was happening. There were some disgusting things that I was seeing where I was having some real moral challenges. And I worked Air Force mental health like the last 7 years of my career. I did 22 years in the Air Force. The first 15 years was hardcore combat, flight line. If you know anything about Air Force flight line, that's where it all happens. All the fast planes and the big planes and any kind of plane, helicopter, whatever is on a flight line, And, I got a lot of experience in that first 15 years of my career. In some ways, I would say that I overdid it, or how can I put this? The Air Force pushed me too hard at a very young age. I was pushed very hard at a young age, with a small unit, and I'll get into that later. But I was doing things that at a young age I never imagined, and most folks ain't built to withstand. You know what I'm saying? And so I did 15 years flight line in the military, working with the bombs and missiles and stuff. And I would see planes take off with missiles and bombs and come back empty, knowing they've rained hell down on somebody. You know what I'm saying? But they wasn't able to connect the dots. Remember that now. I wasn't able to connect the dots. I didn't have access to the internet or data or cell phones. All I saw was a plane that left full of bombs and came back empty. All I saw, you know what I'm saying? But years later, I kind of, it ate at me so bad years later, because I began to ask myself, what would I say if someone came up to me and said, Eric, have you ever killed anybody in the military before? What would I be able to say? I can't say no. Not with what I know now, I can't say no. I was complicit in things that I didn't know I was complicit in. Yeah, I killed people before. Not with my hands, but, with my hands. I mean, I was a maintainer out there. I was a maintenance guy. So the things that I was fixing out there, they was used to support the things to carry the bombs and the weapons to kill the people. Y'all see how that's connected, man? So you see how it's kind of, it causes you to kind of, at the point that you figured out, it causes a serious moral dilemma for some people. Questions are raised, which is the reason why the military has the retirement limit is 20 years in the military. You have to do 20 years to retire, before retirement. And I never forget, an old school brother told me a long time ago. He said, he said the reason for that is because around that time in your career, they can't control you no more. They can't manipulate your thinking. They can't. The game is up at that point. So you're useless to them. So they pretty much say, thank you for your service. Here are all the benefits for hanging on as long as you did. But after about 20 years, man, you know what the deal is, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what the deal is. And the thing is, it's up to you to make a decision on um, you know, how you embrace that, how you embrace it. I embrace it with honor and dignity, you know, because I went out there for the right reason. I raised my hand to defend the nation, not to do the other stuff. Unfortunately, I was doing the other stuff. So the other part of my career, the last 7 years, was mental health, and I'll explain why. So what I was doing the first 15 years is when I really started going to school. I started to be educated. You know, I had folks in my ear, you know, and I would see how educated folks, man, they carried themselves differently, man. There was a confidence that I loved about them, man. But they were also, how can I put this? You had people, man, that were getting education when I first went to the military who were blackballed, man. They were shunned. They were looked down upon, man. You know, and I didn't understand that, but I loved the glow that they had about themselves. They could give a damn about what people thought of them. They made sure they attended those classes, you know what I'm saying? So those first few years, somehow I ended up getting into psychology, which I've always had a love of people. Psychology and business and marketing, international marketing. So I got into a lot of that. But a lot of my discipline, a lot of my educational background is in the people business. You know, it's mental health. It's a psychiatrist, psychopharmacology. It's, you know, social work, family advocacy, substance abuse, you know, suicide prevention, suicide monitoring, you know, a lot of different things like that, man. So I did a lot of that in the Air Force. And so I'm uniquely qualified to speak on that young man's situation. If anybody is, it's me. Air Force and mental health. I can tell you exactly what that guy was thinking, what happened with this, you know. But again, I'm not going to dwell on that because I'm going to do another video on that. And it, you know, I'll get very deep into it. And, you know, again, I'm not trying to sway any thinking. I'm not trying to get anybody to follow suit with my line of thinking. I'm just trying to speak my truth. But I'll definitely get into it later. But yeah. Another reason I want to kind of get on Facebook is to, you know, without just all of a sudden coming out, you know, and doing videos, I want to kind of, I guess, feed the audience a little bit at a time. Just kind of give them a sense of who is this guy, you know, doing this stuff. He's over here, he's over there, he's doing this, he's doing that. He's with a U.S. president. You know, he's in Greece, you know what I'm saying? He's in Africa. He's in Fort Worth, you know what I'm saying? He's talking about Butler housing projects, you know what I'm saying? This man is all over the place, you know? He's worldly, you know? And I don't say that in a braggadocious way. I say I'm worldly because I'm worldly. That's just the nature of the business that I'm in. And that was being in the military and then also working, you know, in upper leadership roles after the military, you know, executive roles, director roles, things like that. So I've had a unique journey, and I think, again, it's one I want to share, and I think it's one that it will definitely open some eyes, because in the midst of that, I don't want to make it just about me. It's going to be about educating and giving back resources and, you know, everything I've learned, everything I've gathered, I want to give it back, not only to the people in my community in Fort Worth, but anybody who's willing to accept it. Again, you don't have to accept it if you want. If you don't want, I'm okay with that. It's my truth. And it is the truth. It's based on fact. I don't go by off assumptions. Anybody that knows me, I'm not the loudest one in the room. But when I speak with conviction, and I speak with confidence, and I speak like someone who has done his homework. I believe you got to do your homework if you're going to speak on any subject. So it's kind of crazy, you know. I see stuff on Facebook and people make all these assumptions about things. And I'm not saying that because I know everything, but I'm saying it because I know enough to know that some of the thinking out there is straight twisted. I'm talking about off the chain twisted. It is twisted. But that's okay. That's okay, because there's a lot of great information on social media too. And I've learned a lot from a lot of folks. And I'm so excited to, you know, reconnect with folks, to learn even more, you know, about things that were going on in Fort Worth, the things, you know, kind of going on in the social media world, because I could not do the social media thing for a long time because of some of the jobs I had. You know, obviously being in the military, toward the tail end of it, we had internet and all this stuff, but I had jobs where I couldn't, you can't go there. The military, they were very strict about that, you know. what was coming out of your mouth and how you were representing them, especially the Air Force. Air Force is supposed to be the top. And so you better believe your uniform is going to be worn a little differently. Your thinking is going to be a little different. And your loyalty better be strong because they will handle business with you. But Air Force, man, I love it. It's the best branch in the armed forces. Nothing against my brethren and, my brothers and sisters in arms and the other branches. But hey, I served in the Air Force, and I was the brunt of all the jokes of y'all saying that the Air Force folks stayed in, nice hotels while y'all were in tents and things like that. Well, no. We got Air Force folks right there on the ground. It's just that y'all don't see them. We were out there right with y'all. Y'all just didn't see us. In fact, how do you think y'all got there? Y'all didn't catch a taxi or United Airlines or American Airlines. You took something called an Air Force aircraft. And we were very good at what we did, whether it would be sneaking the SEAL teams in the middle of the night or transporting thousands of troops in preparation to go to war. We did it all. And so, unique background. Man, I just look forward to sharing so much because, my experiences touch on just about everything, it seems like. Whether it be social issues, whether it be something in the business world, whether it be government, whether it be, community, activism. I mean, I've done things like fed the homeless. I've done things like, I volunteered to chaperone school children, who were trying to, like they would have American school children in Japan. And what they would do, they would get Japanese school children and get them together so they can kind of learn each other's cultures. And so I would be a chaperone for that to make sure, everything went well, did that. And I did that a lot of times.